Okay, Joanna, now we're going to look at your underwater view of your butterfly. We just watched the upper view, so now we're on the underwater view. And as you're coming forward, nice vision. You're looking straight down with your eyes. I really like this. This is a good position to be in when you're not taking a breath. So you're looking perfectly down. Hips are relatively high compared to the water level as the arms are coming around, so that's all good. I really like this position that you're in right now. As the arms are coming around, we can see that height kind of change. You drop the hips a little bit lower because, as we talked about in the overview, your arms get up a little high as you're trying to get the arms out in front. And if we can stay lower to the water, the hips will be where they were in the previous frame. They won't drop to here. They won't be down to here. They'll be a little bit higher at this point, right up here, okay? That's going to be a better position to drive the kick, but also to get yourself traveling down a little bit more in the stroke. So as you travel forward into your arm stroke, okay, what we end up being in, what we're striving to be in, is if we get the head in where you got it in nice and early, and you reach forward with the hands, your head will actually drop a little lower. So this would be where the back of your head really would be. Your hands would be in the same place, so it would create this angle with your arms. We can see your arms are on par with your head, and your hips are just a little bit higher than that. Where you'd be if you were swimming with the arms a little lower on the recovery and the head was getting in the water where you got it in, then the hands would be a little higher, the head would be a little lower, and you would have the hips at a much higher angle as finishing the kick. So we talk about an inverted triangle a lot of times, and that's created from the hands to the head to the hips. And really yours is more of a straight line at this point, and that really just has to do with your entry angle of your arms up front. It's a little too high as you go to start the stroke as you dive in the water. And then as you're coming forward, you can just see the hands are, at this point you should have a little more bend. So as you're pulling, you have them really straight and the hands are turned out. We want to have those hands not turn straight like that and then a straight arm on pretty much both sides. We want the hand to be inside of that, the elbow to be bent a little bit more, okay, so that you're already kind of starting that catch and the hand's going to be turned back towards the back wall. So it's kind of more in this position instead of that turned up position. And if I think we can get that recovery right, that's going to help that position a little bit more. I think this is kind of a result of where you're entering the water and how your hands are rising towards the finish in front. And then as you get to this point, then that's when you start to really catch the water, which is good. But again, hands could be a little closer underneath the body. Harder to see with this view, but they look like they're just outside the hips as you're coming through, as you got that wide entry and that wide push out. And we want, as we look here, yeah, they're just a little wide under the body. We want to be a little bit closer, a little more narrow up front with that part of the stroke. And then you're pressing through all the way to the hip. So if we can get a little tighter with the hands, and that's just getting those hands turned a little bit earlier, and you can see a little bit more here. Okay, you have about 1.5 feet between your hands, so right here you're just about hip width apart. And really when you get this part under the body, the thumbs should only be about 2 inches apart, so it should be a very small position. Some people almost touch with the thumbs. It could be anywhere from 2 inches to 1/2 inch difference, but the hands are more closer underneath the body, and that creates a lot more power. So you're just a little bit outside of that at the hips, or a little wider than the hips. We want to get more under the body where we got a little more power with our stroke. And then as we come forward, so the kick on the back, you have both kicks, but you're kicking to straight leg position, and we want to drive that a little bit deeper so that you kick a little past that flat point. We want to get the feet a little deeper, so you kick like you're kicking a soccer ball. Your feet are going to follow through a little bit more, a little deeper in terms of that part of the kick. You're kind of stopping them just a little bit early. And then the top kick, see that snap down a little bit more, that's a little bit better. So your initial kick at the front end of the stroke is a little deeper, and you have more knee bend. So we need to get that on the back kick a little bit more. Turn from underwater as we're coming into the wall. We can see hands in a little better place than what they were before, but still traveling at or just a little bit below the shoulders. This left hand, as it touches the wall, and I'm going to back up a little bit to that, is a little bit too wide. You want them more shoulder width apart, and you're kind of anticipating the wall, so your hands a little wide. You want it straight in front of the shoulder, a little bit more up front when we hit the wall. And that's going to give you a little bit tighter turn, keeping that elbow a lot closer to the body. So we want to bend elbow there really close to the body. And again, we can get those knees under the body a lot quicker if we can get those hands just a little higher as we hit the wall for that turn. And then, bending that elbow a little sooner, both above and below, will get you in that streamline. Pushing off the wall, again, your angle's just a little bit too shallow. So as you're pushing off, you've got the feet in the right point, but you're pushing off at this shallow angle. We want to be just a little bit deeper, so anywhere from 5 to 6 feet underwater, so your angle needs to be just a little deeper as you come off the wall. Right where I have that second line drawn is where we want to be as we're coming off, and that will get us in a better position to kick out from. Tight streamline up front, so you look really good there, Joanna. You need to be a little quicker with the kicks. You got 2 kicks. I'd like to see 3 or 4. And it's just once you start your kicks, you did a good job of pushing off the wall, waiting a body length to start that kick. But if we could start the second kick a little bit earlier and try to get 2 or 3 or 4 more kicks in, that would be very helpful in terms of your kick out. So, but again, if we back up, we can see a little bit of the width on the hands and the pull, how wide they are at this point. Want to be a little more narrow than that, and even under the body a little more narrow. They're just outside the hips. We want to be inside the hips a little bit more. And again, the hands just right out a little bit. But I think a lot of that has to do with, like I said, if we can get the hands coming over the water a little lower and the entry to happen a little sooner, I think it's going to help that a lot.